Thanks for staying with us. Now, there's been much reaction to the report released by the Commission of Inquiry into the deadly Usindiso building fire. Over 70 people died in that fire. The report says that the City of Johannesburg and its property management entity, the Johannesburg Property Company, knew about the appalling conditions at the building for a number of years now. Despite knowing about this, the Commission says they did nothing to address it. This is, of course, among other findings that have been made. Advocate Ntokozo, Qwabe, spokesperson of the Commission of Inquiry into the Usindiso building, joins us live now. Thank you so much, Advocate, for your time. I mean, the fact that a building can be allowed to be neglected and get to this particular point, and at the same time several bylaws are breached, but no quick action is taken to deal with this particular matter, paints a very worrying picture of accountability here, or a lack thereof.
Good morning, good evening, Bongiwe rather, and good evening to everyone who's watching at home. Yes, indeed, that is correct. It is a worrying picture, and of course, you will recall, Bongiwe, that the work of the Commission isn't limited to Usindiso building. The second part of the Commission's work, which it will commence during the course of this month, will be tasked with looking at the more systemic issues surrounding hijacked buildings and buildings abandoned, like the Usindiso building, which has led to a crisis, essentially, that makes such tragedies possible.
And I was going to go there with my second question, especially because of what we've been seeing on the ground and the second part now that needs to unfold. And I wonder, what posture are you taking as the Commission going into the second phase now, given possibly some of what you would have heard already?
Bongiwe, it is ongoing work that the Commission is doing, and because the Commission is currently seized with that work, I'm not able to comment on the particularities of the attitude that it will be adopting. It will, of course, be guided by its terms of reference, and it will build on the work that has already been done in Part A1 of the report, which is the report that was published on Sunday. And of course, as you alluded to earlier, that report makes certain factual findings in relation to Usindiso specifically, and those are going to be useful in sort of mapping out what can be expected without preempting what evidence is going to ensue in the second part of our work. But I mean, it is, I think, very instructive to read the report and to read it closely.
Yeah.
In particular, the factual findings surrounding the state of the building, I think, are most instructive because they tell us what kind of beast we are dealing with and what has made such tragedies actually possible. I don't want to get emotional or anything of that sort, but it is, of course, very unfortunate that 76 people would lose their lives over something that may have been mitigated. Yeah. The state of that building and the Commission's findings on it are reflected at pages 126 to 141 of the report, and I implore the public to go and have a look for itself, the conditions under which these buildings are in and under which people in these buildings exist. Because it is very instructive for what the kind of interventions that are needed to alleviate these conditions for our people.
And quite difficult to even, just hear how crime infested it was, hear how, drug lords were making money here, hear how, the appalling conditions when you think about the basic service delivery needs that were not even being provided. It really makes for some very painful reading, especially when you think about how, people were just living on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, indeed, Bongiwe. You will see from the Commission's factual findings in the part of the report to which I've referred to the public that the Commission really says that the building was a disaster in waiting in many ways. The firefighting capabilities of the building had been eroded in different ways. You will recall that the building had been partitioned and divided into sections using very highly flammable materials, and shacks had been created using materials that rendered the building essentially a fire hazard. And in addition to that, the firefighting equipment of the building had been in many ways eroded because people were using pipes from fire extinguishers and the like to actually source water, because, as you say, the services, unfortunately, the basic services that residents would have been entitled to get, they were not getting. And because of that, the people within that building were led to really, having to illegally connect using equipment that should have been or ought to have been used to quell fires. And to really fight fires in the event that a fire broke out. You will also recall that the staircases had been blocked off in the partitioning of the building, that the emergency doors had essentially been closed off. And really, all of these conditions were known as early as 2019 to COJ and to authorities within the municipality. So, it's really, as you say, disheartening that these conditions existed. But the bottom line is that they created ideal conditions for something of this nature to break out. There are many other. There are many other aspects of the building that you will see outlined in the report, which basically just reveal that it was a crisis in waiting, essentially.
And Advocate, there are some who are of the view that, some of your findings, especially against, you think about the City of Johannesburg, for example, to take accountability among others and looking at, the other accountability aspects that now needs to ensue. Others are saying that this sets a dangerous precedence, and for them, they believe that then this report should be taken on review because it can have the potential of, adverse impact, given the fact that these people who are occupying the building illegally. That's what some people are saying. And I wonder, how does the Commission respond to that?
Well, Bongiwe, I must straddle a careful line here because, of course, I'm not here to defend our report or to in any way suggest that it is immune from challenge. I mean, those who feel aggrieved by the findings of the Commission are by law entitled to exercise their constitutional rights to challenge any aspects of the report. As far as we are concerned, the recommendations that we've made in relation to accountability, what I would call the accountability type relief that we've tried to offer, and that the accountability type recommendations that we've tried to make here, are really centered on the obligations that were on the City of Joburg as the owner of the building and the JPC, the Johannesburg Property Company, as the manager of the building. Now, those are legal obligations. We are not imposing them. These obligations have always existed in bylaws, as you pointed out, and in national laws. And all of these placed duties on various officials of the city to take steps once they were aware of the crisis. Now, of course, one may level whatever criticisms they want to level against the residents themselves, but the reality is that doesn't change the obligations that were on the municipality and that were on its structures to act lawfully and to act within the law. And that's really what it means to live in a constitutional democracy. What it means is that those structures that the law imposes obligations on must take steps when they are faced with situations where those steps are required.
And Advocate, we're out of time in about 10 seconds. How do you ensure that these recommendations are in fact implemented and not gather dust like we've seen in some reports in the past?
So in short, the Commission's mandate is to make recommendations. It isn't enforcement. However, we are confident that these recommendations will be enforced, as the Premier has undertaken to form a joint committee with the municipality to look into implementing the recommendations.
Okay, Advocate, thank you so much for your time. Do appreciate it. And of course, as you say, that the second part now is going to ensue. One wonders exactly what's going to come out. And we wait then to see how much of the work goes into some of the concerns around hijacked buildings. That was Advocate Ntokozo Qwabe, spokesperson of the Commission of Inquiry into the Usindiso building.